So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Renetti pistol, which was just added as part of the Season 3 update that brought a brand new battle pass. So all that means is pretty much everyone playing the game currently, as long as you reach 15, regardless if you have the paid or free version of the battle pass, you'll get access to this weapon. So what we'll be taking a look at in today's video is the overall damage profile of this weapon, and I'm going to give you a best class setup, regardless if you want to keep it semi-auto, if you want to do it akimbo, if you're looking to use the burst, or a combination of both of those. You're going to have a best class setup for each of those scenarios. And like I normally do with class setup videos, you're going to have a timestamp for that if you just want to skip all the details and skip straight to the class setup. So if you do enjoy the video, let me know by hitting the like button. I do have a goal in today's video of 1,000 likes. And if you're brand new to the channel or you're just looking to find your way back and haven't yet subscribed, definitely consider subscribing with notifications on so you'll be able to find my channel that much easier. So what you're going to be looking at in the background is just me doing my testing method. And what you're going to see is between 0 to 10 meters, the base damage for this weapon is 33. Chest damage is 42, and headshot damage would be 72. And you can see the shots to kill required for 100 health, which is within core multiplayer, ranges from 2 to 4 shots to kill. And when we carry that over to Warzone, which has 100 health plus the 3 plates that brings you up to 250 damage, it will require 4 to 8 shots to kill. And then between 10 to 20 meters, you can see the various damage profiles, still 2 to 4 shots to kill and 5 to 9 shots to kill within Warzone. Then when we look at above 20 meters, you're going to see that it takes an extra shot to kill for multiplayer and 2 additional shots when it comes to Warzone. So with hand testing, I was able to figure out the rate of fire for semi-automatic right around 331 rounds per minute, and then the burst was always 1200 rounds per minute with a 250 millisecond delay. And just like many of the other pistols, there are different types of triggers you can apply. So the fastest trigger is actually going to be that lightweight trigger. It's going to bump up the rate of fire to around 420 RPM. The heavy will slow it down to 300, and the match will put it just a little bit higher at 375. And as you can see, it doesn't actually affect the burst, but it does have a huge impact on the delay. With the lightweight lowering it to 150 millisecond delay, heavy boosting it up to 267, and the match lowering it to 184 milliseconds. So now that we have the shots to kill and the overall rate of fire, we can kind of combine all this data to figure out the overall time to kill when it comes to going up against someone in multiplayer as well as within Warzone. So with all these numbers, I decided just to go with the lightweight trigger because that's going to give us the fastest time to kill. And we're looking at the semi-automatic weapon. It's going to range between 181 milliseconds up to 725. And when you're in the battle royale, it'll be 544 all the way up to 1813 milliseconds. And no surprise, when you put them in akimbo, you're actually going to double the fire rate because you actually have 2 of them that you can spam at the exact same time, and that's going to lower the TTK to 91 milliseconds all the way up to 362 within the core multiplayer. And when it comes to the battle royale, you're going to drop that down to 272 milliseconds all the way up at the max at 907. Obviously, you got to factor in that you're going to miss a little bit more shots when you're in akimbo, but at the end of the day, if all the shots are landing, this is your theoretical time to kill. So when we look at the core multiplayer, you can see the time to kill is 50 milliseconds all the way up to 454 milliseconds. And then within Warzone, a full-plated enemy is going to go down in 300 milliseconds all the way up to 950. So even though it does have a low-end time to kill of 300 milliseconds, keeping in mind that those are going to be 4 direct headshots, which isn't always viable. You're probably going to be more often going to be mixing in shots. So a more realistic TTK is somewhere around 400, 500 milliseconds within 10 meters. So that's going to be very competitive with pretty much every weapon in the entire game except for one-shot kill weapons. And here's where it gets absolutely crazy. When you actually get the burst with the akimbo, the TTK within 100 health game modes between 25 milliseconds all the way up to 100 milliseconds, which is incredibly fast. Then when it comes to Warzone, you're talking about 75 milliseconds all the way up to 400 milliseconds, which is still absurdly fast. So that kind of gives you a general overview of the Renetti pistol. So if you want to go ahead and run semi-automatic or semi-akimbo, burst or burst akimbo, you kind of have a better idea on how that's going to impact the weapon in terms of damage output. Now let's go ahead and give you 4 class setups, one for each of these individual scenarios. So here we go. We're going to have 4 different class setups, one for semi-akimbo, burst, and burst akimbo. And as we look through these different various options, the number one thing we got to have on each of these class setups is going to be the lightweight trigger. If you can't reach that trigger cap, it might be more beneficial to go with the match grade trigger, which gives you a little bit better aiming stability. but that's really going to be on a case-by-case basis. For these purposes, we're going to go ahead and go with the lightweight trigger. So now we have the lightweight trigger on there. So next attachment we'll go ahead and take a look at is the ammunition. I would go with the 27 round mag. Typically with pistols, I just put as much ammo as I can in there so you can spam away without worrying about having to reload immediately. Obviously, as you level this up, this is what you're going to end up unlocking, but prior to that, you're just going to kind of have to work with what you have. And then if we're going to just keep it semi-automatic, the route you could go is to go to the monolithic. You can go the extended barrel. This is going to give you about 5 extra meters. So instead of 10, it's going to give you about 13, 14, 15. And instead of 20, it's going to be right around 25 meters that the extended Mark 1 is going to get you. So get those extra meters. Why not? If you're going to be hitting those headshots, it doesn't really matter because we know that at unlimited ranges, if you can hit double tap on the head, it's going to be a kill no matter how far they are away. So that's something interesting about this pistol. Next up is if you want a little bit close quarters, I would go with the tac laser in this case so you can have faster aim down sight speed, or you can, if you want to be able to have the hip fire accuracy, you can either go with the 1 milliwatt or 5 milliwatt. That really comes down to preference because the laser will be visible. If you're not understanding how that mechanic works, I would probably just play it safe and go with the 1 milliwatt if you're not 100% sure. With this particular case, we'll be going with the tac laser. So this is kind of what we would have here. And this is if I just want to use it as the semi-automatic pistol, this is the class setup I would go with. Next up, if we're going to go ahead and put this in akimbo, you're going to drop the tac laser. You don't need that anymore because you're going to be in hip fire for akimbo. So that doesn't really help. It says aim down sight speed. You don't aim down sight with akimbo. So we're going to go ahead and put that either on the 5 milliwatt or the 1 milliwatt. My preference is the 5 milliwatt laser. And this one really comes down to preference. If you want to go with the monolithic, you keep the monolithic. If you want to go with the extended, you can keep the extended. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter as much. I'm probably going to go ahead and drop the extended and then go ahead and put on that akimbo perk, which is unlocked by doing challenges. So now this is the semi-automatic akimbo. So now let's go ahead and jump into the burst option. And when we go to the burst mod, it is actually an attachment. It's actually for the barrel. It's not for the ammunition. It's not a perk like we've seen within other weapons. So that was kind of an interesting change there. And then pretty much you could just kind of leave it like that, or you can go with the tac laser again and pretty much have your options there. If you want to have a little bit of accuracy because maybe you have trouble seeing with aiming down sight, maybe you go with an optic. For the most part, this class setup should work perfectly fine for you. Now, when it comes to the akimbo, again, we can go ahead and go in 5 milliwatt laser. We got to get rid of the monolithic in this case. We don't get the option here. We have to keep the 3-round burst if we're going to keep it burst. Get rid of the monolithic. We still keep the lightweight. We go with the 27 round mag. And then we go ahead and put that on akimbo. And this is the class setup of what you guys saw in the gameplay. Those are pretty much the class setups you guys saw in the background. And that pretty much ends up being it. Those are the 4 class setups. This thing is absolutely destructive. Its TTK is just incredible. So that ends up being the 4 class setups. Hopefully you guys have a little bit of fun trying those out while you're leveling it up. If you did enjoy the video, let me know by hitting that like button. If you're brand new, looking to find your way back, definitely consider subscribing with notifications on. Appreciate all the support on the channel. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.